Oh, you're live. It's working. Thank God. Finally. Okay. I'm going to take my mask off so that the deaf community can read my lips because I can't sign fast enough. Sorry. Okay. We have a lot of news. First of all, Free Comic Book Day is Saturday, and I will be here. I'm not normally on Saturday, but I will be here for Free Comic Book Day. I will be tired, though, guaranteed. What else is happening? Pop culture news.
Suicide Squad was awesome.
Yeah, Suicide Squad was amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go see it. And granted, not the biggest Cena fan lately, but after his whole Taiwan-China debacle. But God, what an amazing performance though from him. I had a good time with that.
He used to play an asshole in 2 different movies.
Right.
Fast 9 and Suicide Squad.
Oh, that's true. Man, what else? We have other pop culture news. What if is this week?
Tonight.
And it's tonight. It's Peggy Carter as Captain Britain.
Captain Carter.
Yeah, Captain Carter. What else?
So Hicham Habshi is not happening on the release date for that.
Oh yeah, Hicham Habshi. We were having him signing next month on the release date for Batman Urban Legends for the next issue. He will not be in. Unfortunately, he has a project he's working on, which screams bigger things. So we are happy for him and we wish him the best. But he won't be in here for signing next. We will try to reschedule him later. He's a very busy artist, though.
Segue to Batman. Batman Day is next month.
Batman Day is next month, so we will have books for that as well. We're giving away a lot of free books. Free Comic Book Day, we will have Lawrence Ararte, artist, producer. Can we call him director too? Friend of the store, all around nice guy. Lawrence will be in on that day, Saturday. Pop culture news. Anything through the grapevine that we've heard this week?
Captain Marvel 2 is filming. All the Phase 4 stuff from Marvel.
Captain Marvel 2 is filming. We know that on Moon Knight we're getting who? Ethan Hawke. Yeah, I don't know. I have fingers crossed for Shadow. I guess it would be kind of soon to introduce Shadow Knight.
All the merch for the new Spider-Man movie has Spider-Man and Doctor Strange side by side.
Yeah.
So he's not just a side character.
No, of course not.
Spider-Man's using magic as well as web shooters in this suit.
His suit is magical.
Oh, cool.
So
but does he have a magical helmet that lets him talk to horses?
I wish, and that's a hat.
It's a hat. Magic hat. Size board. Oh, yeah, just not board. You typed it wrong, Carl. Sony just bought Crunchyroll. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
$1.75 billion.
Not sure how I feel about that.
I don't know how I feel about that either.
Sony is really good at syncing things these
To
days.
be honest, that was like the only way I was able to watch Jujutsu Kaisen on HBO Max.
Yeah. Did you hear that a bunch of here's some pop culture news for you. A bunch of angry right now at Sony, furious and just raging at Sony and how they handle indie developers. Apparently, like if they're whatever their game is, if it's in the PlayStation Network, and primarily it's people who develop for Vita, they don't let them put it on sale. They don't let them they pretty much don't let them touch it after they put it in the store.
Wow.
Which screws over a lot of small time developers. So they're like, yeah, we're not big developers, but you kind of just don't need to be leaving us by the wayside.
Right.
So like I'm telling you, dude, Sony is making some terrible moves right now.
Marvel Studios too. Marvel Studios is only paying comic character creators $5,000.
Yeah, Marvel. What the hell?
Thanos' creator got a cameo in Endgame. That's about it.
Oof.
And mind you, Thanos has appeared.
Wait, he was
what? Yeah.
Starlin was in?
Yeah.
Where?
You know when they were having that group thing at the beginning after the whole 5 years later.
Yeah. Oh, he was the leader of the group.
One of them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The director was the other guy who was talking about the date going on.
Oh, okay. Well, the Vita was considered a failure by the heads of Sony, but it wasn't. It wasn't a failure. That's the thing that doesn't make sense. Sony just decided to stop developing for it. There was plenty of developers, and that's the reason that there were games pumping out of it.
And the bad thing is,
it
explains a lot for Sony too, dude.
Yeah.
Sony's been dropping the ball a lot.
Sony has just missed opportunities.
A lot of missed
Thank you.
opportunities.
Just letting you know,
Okay. So, other pop culture news. Anything else? No, you can't think of anything.
Finale Friday.
Ooh,
What?
Yeah,
Bad Batch finale.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching. I got bored with it, dude. I'm
Last
sorry.
week's episode, it got pretty good.
Did it? Okay. Like I don't know, man. Like I wasn't feeling
Don't
it.
get me wrong, a lot of the filler was kind of just like meh.
Well, it was abandoned, which was sad. It was abandoned, Carl. I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that. We've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yep.
God, the animation in that anime is just top tier. Like it's next level. And granted, the whole theme for the anime is just SCP Foundation, like
I can't wait for
in
the movie to
Japan.
come out.
What?
There's a movie coming
Oh
out.
yeah, there's a movie coming out, so that's gonna be exciting. So I'll be hyped about that. I guess we should get to the books. Probably we've talked enough. Let's get to all the book reviews for this week. The first one, of course, we're gonna touch on this. People have been like falling hand over fist trying to get details on it. It's Ham, Quiones, and Ito, and we're talking about Batman '89. So is it the Michael Keaton Batman part 2 that we always wanted? Do we get a part 3? Part 3, yeah. Because the part 2 was the Penguin.
Part 2 was Batman Returns.
Wasn't Val Kilmer part 3 though?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we won't ever talk about the other one.
We didn't want Val Kilmer as Batman. So.
Yeah. Okay. So is it the Michael Keaton sequel that we all wanted? Yes, it is. It's outstanding. But let me tell you, there is a certain AG in the form of a man named Harvey Dent with a double-headed coin that is kind of on a collision course for Batman. We know how this ends up. Come on, if you mention Harvey Dent's name and a double-headed coin, you know what's gonna happen. We all know it's coming.
Is still Lando Calrissian though?
Yeah. It's still it is still one and the same. Honestly, I loved it. But that was my Batman as a kid, so of course it's gonna pull at those heartstrings. Would anyone else love it? Actually, yeah. There was a lot of good action. It felt right. There was a character that was introduced at the end that I was like, wow, that I want to know where they're going with that. It seemed very Robin-esque, I could say. And I had a really good time with it. It felt right as a Batman comic. So I think it stands alone. But again, you have to understand, I wear rose-colored lenses for anything related to Batman '89 because that was my youth. It's good, though. Next is Tom King, Jorge Fornes, and Dave Stewart. And we're talking about Rorschach. Now, this was a very twisted and convoluted mystery for the longest time. And we thought in the last issue that they were pulling back the layers and revealing what was happening with the mystery. But no, it was all a red herring. It was stalling an issue. He was trying to feed the wrong narrative to the actual bad guy. He was eventually going to pull back the other narrative and explain how everything works. And Tom King does it, and it's very masterful. It did feel like that peak moment in a murder mystery where somebody like declares how everything played out and declares how things worked out. And so it worked. I had a good time with it. I have little to complain about that. But I just got to tell you that Tom King's mind is really, really twisted. And the way this unfolds is so intricate. And I had to think back to several of the issues to just be like, oh yeah, I kind of did miss that. And oh yeah, Tom King's brain, it needs to be dissected for science because there's some strange stuff going on in there. But did it work? Yeah, I had a really good time with it. But I am a Tom King fan, and I know that not everyone is a Tom King fan. But I am, so I really liked it. If you haven't been reading Rorschach up until this point, definitely don't start with this issue. You will be thoroughly confused. Go back probably the entire way, but you will have a good time. And you have to also know a lot of the Watchmen universe. They keep referencing squids and an alien invasion. And if you don't know the Watchmen universe, that's not going to make any sense to you. And if you only know Watchmen from the movie, it also won't make sense to you. You need to know the actual source.
But watching the show will make sense.
Oh, will it?
Yeah.
They reference the squids on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you see the squid, but the squids were fake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay. I haven't watched that show yet, so I don't know. Everybody tells me that, but I don't know. Oh, okay. I'd probably like it. Cloonan, Conrad, Lupacino, Von Graubadger, and Belair, and we're talking about Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman has had a very almost psychedelic ride through like different realms and different gods, and started out with the Norse mythos, gone to the Greek mythos. Like it was pretty wild. Well, she thinks she's finally getting back to her Earth, but no, sadly, it's actually Earth 11. Now, if you don't know Earth 11, I'd be surprised if you did. I can't keep a lot of them straight all the time. There's like Earth 3, which I usually get. Earth 2, which is no problem. The Injustice universe, which is no problem. Captain Carrot. But Earth 11, there's also the universe where like everyone is like psychedelic. Like there is a literal Green Lantern that is like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Yeah. So, okay. If you know all of that, this Earth 11 is actually the gender-swapped Justice League, where most of them are gender-swapped. And on this one, Wonder Woman is actually Wonder Man. And is it's a bit wild. It's a bit wild of a ride. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to say the art is really good. If you like Wonder Woman, this is pretty much standard flavor. But it's also really this quite kind of a wild ride. She's still riding around with Ratataska, the Norse chaos squirrel god. Squirrel chaos god. Yeah, squirrel chaos god. Anyways, it's good. I had a good time with it, but you have to be partial to Wonder Woman to really enjoy this sort of stuff, because it's wild right now. Next is Wilson, Gideon, and Roush. This is Pennyworth. Now, I was excited about this cover because it's a reference to James Bond. It's showing Pennyworth. We know that Alfred was MI6, so we knew that they were going to go there. That they were going to get into Alfred's like spy days. I was super excited about that. That should be referencing was it a TV show or a movie?
For what?
Pennyworth.
Pennyworth?
It was a show, right? Again, another show by DC that I should have watched that I haven't watched. But so they reference that time, and it's fun. It's good, and I like that part of it. And also, we're going to talk spoilers because it's a number one. We can't really talk about it without talking spoilers. So I like that part of it, getting the spy stuff out of the way. But the counter to it is it's all sort of told in flashbacks, and he's currently tied up during the timeline of City of Bane. Yeah,
You're right. 2019 drama show, 2 seasons.
Yeah, Pennyworth. I haven't caught it yet. So he's basically during City of Bane, which is a really, really dark time. I guess it makes sense. I mean, Alfred was dealing with pretty much the worst thing he's ever dealt with in City of Bane, and we all know how that ended. But the problem is we all know how that ended, and I feel like it's very traumatic at this point. Like it hurts me that they go back there. So okay, we'll see how it unfolds. I don't know. Maybe something will change. Like, who knows? You never know with comics. I thought for sure that we would never get a good ending for Roy Harper where you got to go out with it like a champ, and we'd never get that full redemption story for Wally West. We were always going to get that half-assed one. And everything got fixed in the current Flash run. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But honestly, man, what a thing to go back to. Next is Infinite Frontier, and sadly, we're sold out of everything else. Williamson, Pelletier. Well, I shouldn't say sadly. I mean, I'm happy about it, but we don't have enough for the shelf. Pelletier, Moreno, Zermanko. Well, there's a lot of people working on this, but this is the Suicide Squad variant. But this is Infinite Frontier. It's not Suicide Squad. I promise. This is the story that centers around the Justice League. It's not Justice League. It's Justice Incarnate. Terrible name. That's the name of the multiverse Justice League team, which actually has Thomas Wayne on it. And I don't like that it's going to be a Thomas Wayne redemption story, but that's what it feels like it's shaping up to be. That kind of hurts. I don't want a Thomas Wayne redemption story. What he did during the events of City of Bane is almost like you can't crawl back from that stuff. That's too much. All of Tom King's Batman run. So I don't know. I don't know. We're getting sort of a Thomas Wayne redemption story. I'm not super into that part of it, but it's okay. We're also getting to see President Superman run around. That's dope. And we're getting more backstory on the current Black Lantern, my man Roy Harper. And I have loved everything about that. So you do get that. You also have Alan Scott and his son trying to figure out where his daughter Jade is. And they're just basically trying to get to the bottom of that. I love all that stuff. And honestly, I like seeing President Superman in anything. So I'm not hating that. I don't know. I haven't put to bed that that Thomas Wayne might be redeemable. We'll wait and see. So is it good? Yeah, it's good. The art's amazing. The story's great. I have nothing to complain about from the comic beyond I don't need a Thomas Wayne redemption story. Next is Tinian, March, and Prianto. And this is such a good book. Joker. Now, what do you do when you're Commissioner Gordon and you're bankrolled by the Court of Owls? You've kind of lost the lead on the Joker. You've got to go further around the world to try and catch him. He doesn't know he's bankrolled by the Court of Owls, by the way. There's another Bane in play. There's a lot of problems here. Gordon needs allies right now. So who do you tap? Who would Gordon tap?
Barbara Gordon?
Barbara Gordon, definitely. Definitely you would tap Oracle, without a doubt. There's somebody else.
Not his son.
No, but there's a certain police chief / commissioner. No. But he's gone out on his own and decided to be a detective on his own. So he's got his own detective agency. It's Harvey Bullock.
Get the shit out.
So Commissioner Gordon, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this and say that Commissioner Gordon goes to him and says, like, look, I'm going to double your fees because I've got an unlimited bankroll in this card. I'm going to give you everything you need to come back my play. And I love it. The fact that we're going to get a Bullock and Gordon story out of this, and it's going to be something that we all know ends in violence because it's a Joker story, and it's putting him on a collision course with him, even though the Joker might be innocent this one time. Well, innocent of that thing, but not innocent in general. It's outstanding. I love this writing. I'm having the best time with it. You will too. The art is great. The story is great. The twists and turns are really, really fun. You can kind of guess what happens. I mean, come on. You know that some badness is going to happen, and it's going to be centered from the Joker. But is it great? Yes. Go buy it. Don't skip on this. You need to be a part of this. It's outstanding. Now is another book that you absolutely need to be a part of. It's outstanding. Brandon Thomas, Dennis Cowan. Oh, my man, Dennis Cowan was on this. Bill Sinkovich and Chris Sotomayor. This is Milestone Returns, Hardware #1. Is it good? Yes. If you don't know anything about Hardware, he's kind of an Iron Man-esque tech character. He has like kind of tech powers that he calls the Blackness. And he has a tendency to overdo things and solve things. Like, I would say he uses some of his tech sometimes in violent but other ways that was less expected. And you get to see that in this. It's perfect. It's exactly how Hardware should be. And I was a little concerned because the art for the original Hardware felt heavy in the oil painting and at times a bit surreal, but it felt right for the story. And I was concerned that maybe they wouldn't get an artist who represents that quite right. But look, okay, Dennis Cowan is on this project, and his art is perfect for that. And he was a Milestone standard. So did I have fun with it? Yes, absolutely. It's amazing. It sets the stage. It gives him his evil villain that we all know is coming because they're doing the same thing. It's basically a relaunch of the Milestone brand. It's fun. You shouldn't skip it. But the way he solves the problem at the end was kind of perfect. It was very Hardware-esque, and I had a good time with it. And I think if you're a fan that read the original Hardware or all of the original Milestone comics, you will have a good time with it. If you are a new fan and you want to jump in on Milestone, which, trust me, is always good, this is one of the books to do it with for sure. In fact, all of them are great. It's Icon Rocket, Static Shock, Hardware. What's the other one? I'm missing one. Oh, those are the only three? There's another one, though, isn't it? What?
Milestone Returns.
I swear there's another one coming. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But all three of those are amazing. Milestone Returns is amazing. You will have fun with all that stuff. Thank you, YouTube, for if you guys are here. I know that YouTube's quality, like image quality, is not as good as it appears for us. And I'm sorry for that, but it's just our internet is weird. Everything else gives us better quality. I don't know why. Next is Ridley, Foreman, and Rapmund and Locust, and we're talking about I Am Batman. And this is Jace's pretty much his growth arc, how he became Batman, how he became a flawed hero, because he is a flawed hero. He makes mistakes, and we see that in this issue. In fact, I kind of love Jace for his mistakes. Don't they make him feel like a stronger character? Yeah. And in this one, he's going to make probably the worst possible mistake he could have made as Batman. But I loved it because his mentality is perfect. A little bit of a spoiler. At one point, he says, how do you stop a war? You bring a bigger tank. And frankly, as a soldier, I'm inclined to agree with that sentiment. We believe in 3-on-1, no duels in the U.S. Army. So you always bring something bigger. And I love that about him. To me, he's kind of a perfect hero. Like, I like seeing his growth story. I like seeing him make mistakes. I mean, hell, in the first issue, didn't he get stabbed? He did. He got stabbed.
He had a hard-ass time fighting somebody.
Yeah, he had a hard time fighting somebody, but it was like the second or third issue. He like rescued those people, and then one of them stabbed him. And it's like, those are mistakes that, I think a new Batman would make, and it makes him a stronger character. He's flawed, but he's flawed in all the right ways because he's always trying to do the right thing. And on top of that, we found out he's trained by Katana, so he's gonna be a badass. So I'm loving everything about I Am Batman. The art is great, the story is great, and granted, I wasn't fully on board for a couple of those issues. Did it feel a little laggy at first? Yeah. It felt a little laggy. I am fully on board with it now. I'm having a great time. Again, another comic we only had variants of, so I'm going to do this one. This is Tamaki Rosenberg, Maura Robertson, Belair Rodriguez. God, they're putting a lot of people on these labels these days. We are talking about Detective Comics issue 1041. Now, I got to tell you, I have very much preferred Batman to Detective Comics for a long times. Cam, same thing? Batman over Detective Comics?
True.
For a long time. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 150 issues maybe. Something like that. I have definitely preferred Batman over Detective Comics. That said, I like the new Hive Mind villain whose name is Vile, and he's been infecting people, and he sort of takes control with this like green parasite. But one of the people who got infected originally was Huntress. She's now detoxed. She's no longer infected, but she can see what Vile sees. And it sort of sets the stage because when other heroes get infected, now Huntress can see it. Now Huntress can play against it.
Yeah.
So I love everything about that. Plus, honestly, the Huntress stuff that has been in Detective Comics lately has been some of the best stuff we've seen from her as a character in a long time. And I've loved everything about that. So while I would say, like, pick up Detective Comics for sure, honestly, the best thing in Detective Comics right now is Huntress. Those stories are great. She's going to be center stage in this one, well, near the end of this one and leading into the second one. You'll see why. It's awesome. I'm having a good time. I love both the new villain. I love Huntress, like her getting just a main comic. We were talking about this, though, today. There's two other characters that they need to tap more often. One of them, if you know us in the shop, you know we love Duke Thomas, and he doesn't get enough playtime. But the other one Cam brought up, Cam, who's the other character that needs to get more playtime from the Bat family? Yeah, Cassandra Cain, Orphan. We need more Orphan. So if you are listening to us, and nobody does, but if you are listening to us, writers, please give us more Cassandra Cain. Next is Culver, Sismezia, and this is Future State Gotham. Now, I did not like a lot of these issues. Why?
This is in black and white.
It's in black and white. It looked unfinished. Like the art didn't quite look finished. Granted, black and white is a style choice that some artists make, and that's fine. But it just didn't look finished. The storyline was kind of weak, and it started with Red Hood, which I'm a huge Red Hood fan. So if I tell you it's weak, it's weak. That said, this issue in particular was explosive, outstanding. I loved every single bit of it. It's a fight between Harley and Punchline. That's what I'm going to tell you. And the fight is outstanding. Look, I'm going to tell you flat out. I didn't like a lot of the other issues. I didn't like where they were going. But the art direction, the way they did this, the fight scene, and how it looked, it's perfect. It's perfect. And so this issue, while I didn't like the other issues of Future State Gotham, I think you could skip them all. Go pick up this issue. You will have a good time. I loved it. Oh, Carl said Harvey Bullock. Carl got it before you guys. Carl figured it out. Thanks, Carl. Next is, so anyways, Future State Gotham. Go pick it up. It's outstanding. Honestly, great. I had a good time with that story. Next is Tomasi, Rayner, Stanley, and Guerrero. And this is Challenge of the Super Sons. What's cracking? What's What's cracking? Who do you think they're rescuing? Come on. What's cracking? It's Aquaman. They're rescuing Aquaman. So we knew that from the last issue. It's not really a spoiler. But what is kind of shocking is who they have to rescue next. And we know that Vandal Savage is actually quite pissed off at them. And he's not the enemy you want to make in the DC universe. That's a pretty bad enemy to have. Meanwhile, their story is really fun. Not enough people read Super Sons, and I can't figure out why. The art is perfect. Like, it's exactly how a Super Sons comic should be. And the storyline is fun. Basically, they have to rescue like a lot of the heroes of the DC universe, and they can't be seen while doing it. They can't change the timeline. So it's very Back to the Future meets Super Sons, but it works. I'm having a great time with it. You will too. Go pick it up. Next is a book. Honestly, this is going to be my DC pick of the week, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, okay, it's a Batman title. Nobody is shocked. But Batman Urban Legends, look, okay? The first story is one that has centered around a Red Hood and a kid that he sort of was helping out named Blue Hood because his mom was in the hospital, and his dad was actually killed by Jason Todd because he was drugging his kid. I don't blame Jason Todd. I got to be honest with you. We saw Jason Todd, we saw Red Hood in this storyline grow in a monumental way. At one point, he actually radioed up Oracle and said, "Tell Batman I need help." And we've never seen that. So I'm going to tell you that we're reaching the end of the Red Hood storyline, which ends perfect, in my opinion. Perfect. It set it up. Batman was trapped by, his name is, what's his name? What's the new character's name? I can't. No, the new villain, Cheer dropped. He was trapped by Cheer, or as we call it around the shop, Discount Joker, because that's what he is. He's a smiley face character drugging people with ecstasy is essentially what he is. Anyways, he plans on drugging Batman because what is Batman without his pain? Well, he's definitely not Batman. We all know that. So he's going to drug Batman, and the only person that can rescue him in this moment is, well, Jason Todd. And I loved it. The end of this changes the stage for Red Hood forever. Maybe not forever, but at least for a long time. He's going to grow in a way we've never seen, and I loved every second of it. And it might actually repair some of the damage between him and Bruce. And it's great. It's honestly amazing. That story alone is worth every single cent you'd pay on this book. The rest of the stories are all great, too. There is an amazing Black Canary story in there. There is a Tim Drake story, which changes the face of Tim Drake. I shouldn't word it that way. We're just going to announce it flat out. Tim Drake is bi, and that comes to light in the second story. And that story is great, too. But that first story, I loved it so much. I'm going to get it in trade paperback for sure. Anyways, it's outstanding. Definitely pick it up. It's amazing. It's our DC pick of the week. Did I undersell it? Next is Peter Blackie, Rob Blackie, and Daniel Mayne. This is Clans of Belair. Now, this book was really strange the first time. It was like involving space travel, and a gal had her mom.
Wait, is this the story all about how some lady's life got changed, turned upside down?
No. Is it Belair? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. No. Okay. So it's basically a gal's mom gets killed, and so a guy from space winds up adopting her and taking her as his daughter and raising her in the spacing guilds. And that's where the last comic began. And I hadn't read it in a minute, and I'd kind of forgotten that I'd read it. But when I started rereading it, I was like, oh, it's that book. And now I really liked the art the first time through, and that hasn't changed. The art is amazing. The story is wild. And granted, there is some parts in it where they do telling, don't showing, which is not a good... It's not a good trend to do, but I get it. It's a comic. You only have so much room to get your point across. So they did a little bit of that, a little bit of narrative. It's fine. But the story's cool. It centers around a bunch of clans that sort of have divided into what they do. And on top of that, they found a bunch of alien tech. And it goes from there. And I'm intrigued. I'm having a good time with this. It's interesting. It's fun. I like this lore. I want more of this world, I think. Worlds, I should say. But it at times it does feel a little bit rushed. So if you're not a hardcore sci-fi fan, this maybe isn't your jam, but I'm digging it. And if you're an art snob, you'll honestly love it. Something about that art is captivating to me. Next is Al Ewing, Javier Rodriguez, and Alvaro Lopez. And we're talking about Defenders #1. Now, I got to tell you, this is a strange #1 for Defenders. It centers around, well, Doctor Strange is interpreting tarot cards, and as he's interpreting them, things begin to happen, and he starts pulling people through from the tarot cards. Not even kidding. Like, that's how the new Defenders team gets put together. And yeah, I'm sorry, a little bit of spoiler, but it's just a weird opening, but it's a very strange opening. And I mean that in both the literal sense of the word and Doctor Strange. It's a very Doctor Strange opening. Does it work? Yes. The art is amazing. The story is really, really good. The Defenders he pulls through, where you can see some of them on the cover. It's great. More importantly, there's the masked. I think it's the Masked Rider. The Masked. I haven't seen that. That's a cowboy Marvel character from way, way back. But he's part of the team. That's strange. And unless I'm interpreting it wrong, and he's some other character that I just don't know all that well. But it's a wild and weird team. And the art style is perfect. Like, let me tell you flat out, this is the kind of psychedelic art you want for things that center around Doctor Strange. And I have a sneaky suspicion was Javier Rodriguez the same dude that did Silver Surfer Black?
I don't know. I thought that was. I know it was Kate's writing.
It was Kate's writing.
Was it Stegman drawing?
No. There's no way that was Stegman. I think it was Javier, but don't quote me. It feels very similar, and I like that style of art. It's a bit surreal, though. So if you don't like that sort of thing, then Deathstroke is also a pretty bad villain to piss off. No doubt. Deathstroke is the worst. And Deathstroke is pretty depraved in how far he'll go to get vengeance. Vita Ayala, Paco Medina, I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. Walden Wong and David Curiel, and we're talking about Children of the Atom. Now, the last issue centered around the fact that one of them got invited to the Hellfire Gala because one of them truly was a mutant while the rest of them weren't. And they were kind of shocked to find this out, and it sort of puts them at odds with one of their members. But it leaves room for some growth, and we're going to see how that goes. And isn't Children of Atom ending soon? Is this the end of it? This is the last. This is how they ended it. Oh, that sucks. I don't know. Children of Atom was okay. I wasn't super into it, but as far as endings go, this is not the best ending. I mean, it does leave it open for at least one of them to grow a little bit further beyond their characters. But what about the rest of them? That leaves me kind of sad. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get shelved and they'll come back later. But it's an ending. It's okay. Not my favorite. I think if you're a Children of the Atom fan, you're probably gonna think the ending's all right. You're probably not gonna love it, sadly. Next is a book that I, oddly enough, really did love. IDW issue number 285 of G.I. Joe. Now, okay, I'm clearly a G.I. Joe super fan. G.I. Joe has not affected my life at all, except for I was a paratrooper in the Army and went to Iraq. But other than that fact, G.I. Joe has not affected my life at all. I love it. Okay, but this current G.I. Joe, Cobra has won. Like, Cobra is in charge of the United States. They've taken back Chicago, but that's about it. And G.I. Joe is essentially like these sleeper cells that rise up to handle things. And this has them doing it, but they're hunting a terrorist who is known as, are you ready for this, Yogi?
John Cena.
Al-Qabra.
Oh, wow.
It's like Al-Qaeda, but with Cobra. That's what it's like. Okay. Is that cheesy? Yes. Hello, how are you doing? I'm good, Alex. How about you, man? Is that cheesy? Yes, it's cheesy. But is the action good? It's outstanding. And frankly, I love everything out of G.I. Joe. Plus, we get to see Duke run around as beret, and it's just fun. I had a good time with it, but it's my childhood, man. I love it. So we will have it on our shelves. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, it's outstanding. If you want to jump in on G.I. Joe, that is the book to do it, because you don't need to know the rest of it to really get into that one. Next is Kevin Scott, Rachel Stott, and we're talking about Star Wars, The High Republic Adventures. This one is the monster at Temple Peak. Now, we're going to talk about a number one, and we can't talk about a number one without spoiling something. So if that's your problem right now, you need to mute us. But I'm going to tell you flat out, what they're doing here is amazing. It's outstanding. They introduce a character that I don't recognize. Cam, do you know this Jedi at all?
No.
You do not. But this Jedi has a pink lightsaber. So I'm already fully on board because pink lightsaber. That's awesome. Okay. Yogi doesn't like it. I can tell.
I'm not against pink. It's just I've never seen it in canon before.
It works. I don't know. I like
yellow, red,
it.
green,
And the hilt is
blue,
really awesome. Like the hilt is amazing.
purple.
The hilt is amazing. Okay.
They make purple.
Oh, okay. You don't like it. I like it. But this particular Jedi, look, I'm going to tell you what they're doing right now, at least what I think they're doing and what it reminds me of. When I was a kid, there were these Dungeons & Dragons Choose Your Own Adventure books. Now, they weren't flat out Choose Your Own Adventure. They were called Dungeons & Dragons and like the something at something mountain or something like that.
Oh, we have those coming.
Do we?
Yeah.
The OG D&D ones?
Yeah, they're not D&D, but they're the same thing. Turn
Oh.
the next page. And turn
Oh
the
yeah,
next
choose
page.
your own adventure type
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so these were the D&D ones, which were in my opinion better writing. They were better than the regular choose your own adventures. I loved them. I couldn't get enough of them. That's what they're doing here. Is they're taking sort of that D&D theming, which sort of harkens back to my youth, and they're putting it with a Jedi story. So we're gonna see Jedi crossed with D&D is what it feels like. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like it's building towards. Is that necessarily what it's doing? I don't know, maybe. I mean, Star Wars has always been a fantasy story that's disguised as science fiction. Right, Yogi?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that's what they're doing, and I don't know. That's what it feels like, and it feels right, and I'm fully on board with this. And I really, really like this new Jedi, and I like her look. So, yeah, come pick this up. It's outstanding. If you're a Star Wars fan, I would say don't skip it. This is probably a pivotal thing to get this week. So, yeah, outstanding. Next is a book. Oh, I wanted to like it. I wanted to like it, but my biasness got in the way. Percy, Gill, and Guru Effects. Look. Okay. Look. This is X-Force meets Man-Thing, but it's not Man-Thing. It's Manslaughter. And the Floronic Man. They are tapping so much from the Swamp Thing lore right now that it's killing me. It's killing me. Like a Floronic character that's coming straight. Okay. But is it a good story? Actually, yeah, I had a good time with it. I had fun. But look, Krakoa's got one glaring problem, and that's a huge backdoor. In that if you have any talent with vegetation, if you have any powers that center around vegetation, if you can hack vegetation or genes in that sense, you can get through Krakoa's gates. And that's a real problem that has haunted them like 6 or 7 times now. Like it's seriously bad, and it happens again. They need to look, either you need to start putting guards on your portals, or you need to find another solution that isn't just vegetation portals. Because that's not working for you, Krakoa.
So, Gene Hackman, stay away.
Yeah, Gene Hackman. You just Superman 2'd this. All right. Anyways, so is X-Force good? Actually, yeah, it's a really good time. But Percy's writing is fun. The art is great. And yeah, okay, it felt like it was really like reading Discount Swamp Thing crossed with X-Men. But I guess that's what you want. And I don't know, is Manslaughter a thing? Like a Man-Thing character? That's new, right?
I've never heard of that.
And the name is terrible,
Yeah.
Manslaughter. I hate the name, but whatever. If you run out of names, I guess. He looks just like Man-Thing. There's almost no difference. Did I have fun with it? Yes, I had fun with it. But I'm saying that as somebody who's super biased, and whenever somebody like tramples on like something that feels to me like it's sort of referencing something, even Man-Thing. I don't like Man-Thing because he's too much like Swampy, and that hurts me. Hey, anyways, Ahmed, Alan, and Kuriel, and we're talking about Miles Morales, Spider-Man, the Clone Saga Fallout. I am so happy with how the Clone Saga ended in Miles Morales. Cam, I need the Cam Miles Morales super fan. What did you think about the end of Clone Saga? 100 times better than the Peter Parker one. But that's, I mean, you could show an image of me knitting for like 20 minutes or a video of me knitting for 20 minutes. I don't know how to knit, but that would be better than the end of the Clone Saga and the Peter Parker, because that ended in a court case, which sucked. Anyways, So, was it the ending great? Yes, it was great. I had a good time with it, but it introduced a new character in the form of his brother, who is I can't remember his name.
Wait a second. Is this the guy you're talking about? Wait, what are we talking about?
What? Yeah, that's the Manslaughter character.
Yeah, that was 2018 when we opened the store. He was in one of the books.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, Shift. So, Miles has a brother now that's actually a clone, but he looks just like Miles, except for he's got gene problems. One, his genes are trying to kill him, and two, he can change form, so he gets like big and warped and stuff like that. And his name is Shift, and he's very childlike, and we kind of love him. But I love him for all the wrong reasons, in that he sort of reminds me of a Frankenstein's monster, and they reference the fact in this issue that he's kind of like a Frankenstein's monster, but one that needs love. And I like that. I like that character quite a bit. I hope he doesn't die in tragedy to save Miles, because that's probably coming, but I hope they let him stand on his own. But that was the big takeaway from it. They are doing more of that. They're fleshing out more of what's going on and trying to save him. You're going to get that in this issue. Is it great? Yeah, it's outstanding. Again, everything coming out of Miles right now is stuff that just shouldn't be missed. You absolutely should be fully on board with that stuff. Oh, man. Chip Zdarsky, Pascal Ferry, and Matt Hollingsworth. Look at that. Spider-Man, Spider Shadow, did they always have that there, or did they just sneak this in here? What if?
No, it's always been on there.
Has it always been on there and I never noticed it? So this is a what if comic that I never noticed was a what if comic. I just determined it.
They're trying to do a soft reboot.
I just thought it was alternate timeline. This is what if Peter Parker never gave up the symbiote, and it got violent and ridiculously dark. And then we got sort of a redemption story and sort of Venomized blended into this. And now we're going to get sort of the end of that arc. And as somebody who is super critical of all the symbiote Spider-Man stuff that winds up on our shelves, I love this run. Cam, your thoughts?
Loved it. It was dark.
You loved it. Dark, twisted, but it always felt like it was like, ooh, they went there. And then somehow they pulled it out of the fire still, which it worked. Although the Parker of this universe is very Eddie Brock in his moodiness, which I guess makes sense, I mean,
He's super emotional.
Super emo, yeah.
Super emotional.
But did I love it? Yes, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I'm saying as somebody who feels like there's almost too many symbiote Spider-Man titles that I feel like we just shouldn't go back to at times. I don't know. We've moved past it. I like to get past it. But I get it. People grow up now and they say, oh, I want to do the symbiote stuff. I want to see that again. Okay, Walker. Just leave the symbiote stuff to Flash and Eddie, please. That would be cool with me forever. Next is Walker, Brown, Green, Dodgson, Otis Main, Illu. And this is Bitterroot, number 15. Oh, my God. We finally get the final fight. The final fight that all of the families have been building towards. We finally get the Cullens and the Sangares finishing their war declarations and going into it. And we're going to see them fight across well beyond their current time, which was amazing to see. So is this a great ending? Yes, it's outstanding. It's exactly the kind of ending I wanted. There is a great and grand speech. It's beautiful. It feels like it applies to our times. The art is outstanding. Honestly, if you have not been on board with Bitterroot, maybe don't start with this issue, but also don't skip this issue, because it's just an insane ending. It was great. Not insane in a bad way, but insane in it felt exactly like the ending you needed for Bitterroot. And now, is it the end of Bitterroot? They declare at the end, no, there's going to be more Bitterroot, which would make sense since they're getting a TV show, right?
Movie.
Oh, we're getting a movie.
Yeah.
Well, it would make sense since we're getting a movie. So, yeah, hopefully we get years upon years upon years of Bitterroot ahead of us, because, God, it's so good. Outstanding showing. Next is Scott Anindito, Morales, and Leone, and oh God, Star Wars High Republic. Now, last issue, I couldn't really talk about it without spoiling it. I was kind of big on not doing it. But there is a character in this that is very, very well Pearl-esque, I guess you could say. She's alabaster white. And this character is a very lesser-known Jedi character called a Light Seeker. Do you know about these characters, Yogi?
Yeah.
Yogi, who is just a walking encyclopedia for Star Wars knowledge, does not know about these characters. They're a very rare type of Jedi that actually cast off the Order. and decide that everything should be led by the Force. And they just sort of go to the whims of the Force. So they wind up to where they need to be. But they feel that the Order itself is too confining. So we got to see that character enter. And yeah, you see them on the cover and they've got like a double lightsaber and they're really, really cool. Are we still dealing with Little Shop of Horrors in space in the form of Drengar? Yes, we are. I don't know. We had somebody else in the store who said that they really liked that character because it's referenced in a lot of the novels and stuff like that. But I'm not reading the new novels. Are any of you reading the new Star Wars novels? No. I like too much of the new Jedi Order and all the old like expanded universe and legends. It was kind of funny too because he was like, "Well, I like that character because they're referencing him in the novels," and I was like, I don't know, man. If they didn't reference it in the expanded universe," and he was like, "Oh, you legends guys." I was like, "Yeah, that's true. I'm old." Anyways, did I like it? Yes, I loved it. They finally wrapped that up. They dealt with it. We did get to see a Hutt cartel fighting, which was all types of wild to see, like literal Hutts thrown down. I loved everything about it. We got a new rare Jedi that appeared. It was fun. You will love this. You will love it. And honestly, the High Republic stuff is the best Star Wars stuff on our shelf. So definitely go pick it up. Next is Jim Zub and Chamba. And we're talking about Avengers, Tech on Avengers. Now, what is Tech on? Well, I can't really talk about it without spoiling it, but do you want to make a guess, Cam, what Tech on is?
Gundam Avenger.
We sort of already saw Gundam Avengers earlier this year in Mech Strike. So I don't think they'd be doing that, but it's pretty much what if every member of the Avengers had an iron suit. So, yeah.
Does Iron Black Panther look cool at least?
Yeah, I mean, they all look cool. And granted, that was a bit spoilery. Maybe I shouldn't have been that spoilery. I'm sorry if I spoiled it too much for you guys. But the art is cool, although I will tell you that the art feels very anime. Like, really anime, ridiculously anime. And the story, it was okay. I wasn't fully invested in it. I didn't like the way Red Skull looked. The way things happened at the end felt very Power Rangers, which is something I want from a Power Rangers comic. Not so much something I want from an Avengers comic. It was okay. It was okay. As a number one, I've seen better number ones. That's all I'm going to say. Granted, look, it's Jim Zub. It's probably going to be great. But for a number one, not really my jam, and your mileage may vary. Avengers with power suits. You're right, Carl. You nailed it. Next is Victor Lavelle, Joe Migueong, and Brittany Peer. And we're talking about Eve issue number 4. Now, what happened with Eve, dude? We can't explain it. But everybody went out and bought issue number 1. And then a couple people bought issue number 2. And then nobody bought 3. And now nobody's reading it. We don't even have subs for it. But the art is amazing. It's outstanding. The story is great. It centers around Eve. She wakes up. The world's been destroyed. She's got to rebuild. But then she's encountering other versions of herself and a teddy bear droid that's roaming around with her. And I was super intrigued by that world. So it interested me. I had a good time with it, but nobody's been reading it. I don't know what happened. Like, how did this fall off? Please come read Eve. This one is great. They explain a lot of what happened and how the different versions of Eve came to be. And yeah, okay, some of it you might have seen coming, but it's as far as apocalypse stories, it's really fun, and it's very at times childlike and at times very scary, as apocalypses should be. So I'm having the best time with it, and I think you will too. So please don't skip out on Eve. Come pick it up. Next is Captain Marvel, issue number 31, back in blue just in time for a brand new arc. Now, this is Thompson, Miyazawa, and Herring, and I'm going to tell you flat out, this is my pick of the week for Marvel. Why is it my pick of the week for Marvel? Well, the writing was great. Honestly, really great. We know that Carol's kind of gotten back together with Rhodey, and granted, I wanted them to get back together. They're one of my favorite power couples. But they're trying to go on vacation when people recognize them, and then other heroes teleport in, and it goes from there. The writing was great. It was uncomfortable. You could tell that the couple was sort of working things out while dealing with their problems at hand. They felt a bit overwhelmed, but it felt very human and flawed at times. And honestly, the dialogue is what made everything about this book amazing. Now, the art is still great, and honestly, that cover is monumental. I have seen some good comic book covers in my time, but this one takes the cake. I love the way that looks. It sort of harkens back to old comics while still keeping it fresh. And we do get to see, well, her sister's in play, and I kind of like her sister. Every time she shows up, it's very uncomfortable because she doesn't quite understand human standards. It's fun. So I loved everything about this Captain Marvel issue, and I think you will too. The villain that they're dealing with is sort of, I don't know. It feels like something else. It's okay. But just the writing was just great. It was fun, and I'd say don't skip it. So it's a new story arc anyways. So yeah, jump in. This is a great time to jump in. Believe me. Good jumping off point. Next is my indie pick of the week. James Patrick, Marco Locati, and Rachel Daring. And we're talking about Campisi, the Dragon Incident. So I'm going to tell you about this. In one sentence. And it's probably how it was pitched inside the writer's room. Okay, ready? You guys ready for it? Picture this. The mafia goes up against dragons. That's the story. And is it great? Yes, it's outstanding. The writing is amazing. It talks about sort of the fall of dragons and how dragons were betrayed by mankind. And then it cuts to like a guy who works for the mafia, sort of handling his block and looking after his people and handling some people that he doesn't like, and then trying to do the dirty work for the mob. And it works. For whatever reason, the whole thing seems to work. So Dragons meets Mafia. The writing was amazing, stellar. The art was outstanding. I mean, some really, really good art. And the story was fun. By the time I reached the end of it, I still wanted to know more. Like, there is literally a mafia guy in this that writes down stuff on his list, things to get done, and then crosses it off as he goes through his day. And he winds up adding dragons to his list. And I loved it. It was outstanding. So look. Don't skip this indie. Honestly, this indie might be my pick of the week overall. I loved it. I laughed out loud, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. But granted, I'm really partial to mafia stories and fantasy stories, and you sort of get both here. So Campisi, go out and get it. It's outstanding. Next is Vasquez, Gomez, and Albertov, American Chavez, made in the USA. Almost my pick of the week. Now, was it a good story? Yes, it was a good story. Was it a good ending? Yes, it was a good ending. It felt right, with one exception. Now, Cam, we've talked about this, but this is my particular pet peeve. Now, it happened in Marvel with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, they introduced a villain named Star, and they got to the big fight. And what happened, Yogi?
Sorry, what?
The fight between Star and Captain Marvel, how did it end?
They hugged it out.
They hugged it out. 2 ridiculously OP characters, and they hug it out. They introduced American Chavez's sister in this, and she's got powers too. Now, they don't hug it out. That's not what that happens, and I'm not going to spoil and tell you exactly what happens, but we just don't get the big fight that we want. It's American Chavez, dude. She's OP as heck. Give us a fight. You introduce a character, which granted is not like full villain. It's just somebody from her past that's been hurt, but like introduce this character. I mean, not introduce. You have this OP character. Like, give us a good fight. I don't know what the deal is, why they do that all the time, but I want to fight for the end. So you don't get the big fight, but you do get a good ending, and it's proper, and it's very American Chavez, and I loved it. I just wanted some fist thrown. But is it a good ending to that story arc? Yes, it's good. And it was almost my pick of the week. The art is amazing. The story is amazing. There's nothing bad here. I just didn't get enough action in the final issue. Next is Parrot, Mora, and Angelo. And we're going to let Cam take this because Cam knows what's going on here. So what is this essentially, Cam?
Basically, for the Mighty Morphin line, while the team of Rangers is dealing with the impending invasion of Eltar and the Green Ranger, who does not know what side he wants to hop on.
Yeah.
They're also doing a backstory on Zordon.
Oh, backstory on Zordon.
Zordon, he wasn't always the floating head you see in the tube.
No kidding.
He was a guardian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Was like a part of their high guard.
So we get a Zordon origin story. Have they ever done that before?
Not really.
No, okay. So
but not only that, but they are also showing the origins of
Zed.
Yes.
Yeah, Zed.
Is it going off of the first, that second movie? No.
Mighty Morphin.
So,
Mighty Morphin Power
there is
Rangers.
some pivotal stuff that they really haven't touched on too much in the past. So it's totally what you absolutely need to go pick this up. Now I didn't read it, Cam read it, but he said it was amazing, right? Amazing?
It was great.
It was great. So if a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan is telling you it's great, it's great. So come pick it up. It's outstanding. The art is gorgeous, but nothing that comes out of Boom these days is bad art. Can you think of a bad art book from Boom? I can't think of one.
Berserker, amazing.
Yeah, they're all
Power
good.
Rangers and Mighty Morphin, both amazing.
Yeah, they're artists. Like every once in a while, their writers are like, I'm like, this is a little too campy for me. Like there's one or two Boom titles that hit that. Usually it's like not Boom, but Boom Box that sort of does that for me.
Yeah.
But their art is always outstanding. Like I have nothing. Their artists are amazing.
Knocking out of the park a lot lately.
So Zdarsky, Chichetto, and Menez, and we're talking about almost my pick of the week. Another one right there, Daredevil. Now we saw in the last issue that there was a problem. Bullseye was killing people all over town, and how could he be in all these places? Did somebody give Bullseye teleporter tech? Well, no. We saw in the last issue that there were multiple Bullseyes, and how did that happen? Cam, you want to take a guess as to how there are clone Bullseyes everywhere? No, but that's a wild guess. I would have picked something else. Like I thought to me this kind of made sense that this would sort of happen and how it would blow up in someone's face. But it kind of the way it played out sort of made sense. But was it good? Yes, it was good. You get an amazing fight with Elektra as Daredevil. Well, I shouldn't say Elektra as Daredevil. She's Daredevil now. But you get an amazing fight with Daredevil Elektra. Am I ever going to get this name with one Daredevil while the other Daredevil is in prison? She winds up getting stabbed and has to do some unorthodox stuff, which for her makes perfect sense. Like she's so cutthroat in how she handles things that she will find a solution no matter how unorthodox it is. And it works. It works. So I loved everything about this. But more importantly, Matt Murdock is not safe in prison. There is some bad juju going on in prison. Like some bad stuff afoot. So that too was kind of amazing to see. The art is gorgeous. The storyline is amazing. But really, if you've been waiting for the Daredevil story that is not the typical Daredevil story, this is it. They're doing new stuff here, and it's really, really fun, and you need to jump in on board. It's not my Marvel pick of the week. It's a close second, but it was outstanding. Actually, was it my Marvel? What was my Marvel? Oh, it was Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. What? Keep it Captain Marvel. Okay. So anyways, that's our show for this week. We do not have multiple shipments. We got them all in one day, so we do not need to do another show tomorrow. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week. And come see us for Free Comic Book Day. Please come see us. Come see me. Hang out, laugh, and joke. But don't hang out for too long because it's still COVID. Like, move along after you get your books. But say hi. We will have cosplayers out in the mall, right?
Yep, right in front of the store.
Right in front of the store. So we're going to have 501st. We're going to have Rebel Legion. No 501st.
No 501st. We are going to have Rebel Legion.
They have been emailing us all day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have Rebel Legion. We're going to have Mando Mercs.
Yeah.
Mando Mercs. So we will have Mandalorians and Rebels. And I don't know, like the Stormtroopers are really hard to get these days. I don't know. Our man June has been missing in action. He was like the Stormtrooper. Anyways, we love you guys. We'll see you next week.